So let's talk a little bit about what we're actually going to be modeling. We're going to have three models. And in essence, this is going to allow us to do a many-to-many. Let me explain why in a little bit. So let's start out with some relationships that we've looked at already. So what we're going to do here is that there are going to be stories, and the story is going to be written by a user. So if we think about that, again, if we end up using, I always like to use the word a and think about the fact that a story will belong to a user. Okay, if we just wrote that out in words, and if we go the other way around, we could say that a user has many stories. They might have none, but they have the ability to have many. So again, this is a very common one-to-many arrangement. And we could set that up pretty easily. We could say that a story belongs to a user, and we could go over here and say user has many stories. Now again, this will run. We're using NodeMon. These tables will get created. We'll see that we'll have foreign keys here that'll end up getting set up. And again, either one of these will end up creating the foreign key. So, but sometimes you'll want to do includes going in both directions, and that's why you really have to end up doing both of them. But one of them will end up setting up the foreign key for us. So where does the many-to-many come in? Well, let's also say that we're going to have reviews. So we're going to say a review is going to be here. Again, we're not even putting any properties here. But what's going to happen is that a user is going to be able to write a review about a story. So each review is going to have, a review is going to have, let's just write it out again. A review belongs to a user. And a review also belongs to a story. So where does the many-to-many end up coming in? Well, if you end up thinking about it, what this really ends up allowing us to do, if we go in this direction, right, a user can have many reviews, right, and also a story can have many reviews. So really what we're doing is we have this many-to-many relationship, but we're doing it through this other entity, which is a review. There are some other ways to model this with Sequelize as well, but in the end, there's basically a third table, and each record in that third table has an identifier, a foreign key, that relates to these two other models. So that's really the way to think about it. If we were going to go and write this out, we could say a review belongs to a user. And and a review also belongs to a story. And if we end up going in the other direction here, we could say that a story has many reviews. And also, a user has many reviews. So this sort of intermediate entity allows us to have our many-to-many relationship. And again, this should end up running without a hitch. We'll have all of our foreign keys. And if I go and I connect to users, stories, reviews, and we end up taking a look at it, and I end up describing my reviews, again, this gets pluralized by Sequelize. I'll see both the user ID and the story ID here. Now, one thing that I like to do is I would like all of these to have IDs that are GUIDs. So one thing that I'm going to do just to make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to go over here and create an object, UUID definition. And I'm going to go over here and specify that for the UUID definition, we're going to have a type. And I'm going to just do a little quick destructuring here. I'm going to grab UUID and UUID v4. And I'm going to get that from Sequelize. And I'm just going to go over here and say the type is going to be UUID. I'm going to say that a primary key is true. It is going to be a primary key. And for a default value, I'm going to specify that we're going to use UUID v4. And the reason why I'm doing that is just so I don't have to do this 3 times. I'll say the ID is going to be the UUID definition, just to save me a little bit of typing. And instead of having to put this object for all of these, this should end up working out. Let's just test it out. Make sure there's no mistakes here. All right. And if I go over here and I look at this and I say, well, describe, pick one of these, doesn't matter. Users, I'll see that the ID is a UUID. So again, we're defining our relationships here, and we're also setting our IDs to be GUIDs, and we're ready to sort of move on to some other things.